I brought up my brother's premature birth at Christmas dinner to get my parents to shut up. So, my parents have been on my case about everything lately. I'm 23, still living at home while I save up money. And they act like I'm some kind of failure because I don't have my life figured out yet. My dad keeps making these comments about how when he was my age, he already had a house and was married. My mom constantly compares me to my older brother, Jake, who's apparently the golden child because he's got this fancy job in accounting and just bought a condo. This Christmas was supposed to be nice, just family dinner, maybe watch a movie after. But no, within like 10 minutes of sitting down to eat, they started in on me again. My Aunt Carol was there too, which made it worse because now they had an audience. So, when are you going to get a real job? My dad asked, cutting into his ham. This part-time thing at the coffee shop isn't going to cut it forever. I tried to change the subject, but my mom jumped in. Jake was already promoted twice by the time he was your age. Maybe you should ask him for advice. Jake just sat there looking uncomfortable, pushing mashed potatoes around his plate. He's actually pretty cool and never makes me feel bad about stuff. But my parents love using him as a weapon against me. Then, my Aunt Carol decided to pile on. Well, some people mature faster than others. Jake was always ahead of the curve even as a baby. That's when my mom nodded and said, "Oh yes, Jake was so eager to get here. He came 2 weeks early. Couldn't wait to meet the world," and that's when something clicked in my brain. See, I've always been good with math and I'd done the calculations before, but never really thought about it. Jake's birthday is March 15th. My parents' wedding anniversary is June 20th. If Jake was born 2 weeks early, that would put his conception around mid-June the year before. But here's the thing, my parents got married on June 20th, so either Jake was conceived on their honeymoon, which would make him born in March, but not premature, or he was conceived before they got married. And they've been lying about the premature thing for 25 years. I looked around the table at all these people lecturing me about responsibility and maturity, and I just snapped. "Wait, hold up," I said, putting down my fork. "Jake's birthday is March 15th, right? And you guys got married June 20th? My mom's face went a little pale. "Yes? Why?" "Well, if Jake was 2 weeks premature, that means he was conceived around June 15th. But you got married June 20th. The table went dead quiet. You could hear the clock ticking in the kitchen. My dad stopped chewing. Aunt Carol's eyes went wide. "So, either Jake wasn't premature," I continued, "or you guys were getting busy before the wedding, which is fine, by the way. But maybe don't lecture me about being responsible when you couldn't even wait until after your own wedding." Jake started choking on his water. My mom's mouth was opening and closing like a fish. My dad just stared at his plate. "I mean, it's basic math," I said. 9 months back from March 15th is June 15th, add 2 weeks for being early, and you get June 29th. But you got married June 20th, so? Unless Jake has some kind of time travel abilities, somebody's not telling the truth here. Aunt Carol cleared her throat and suddenly remembered she needed to check on the pie in the kitchen. My mom got up and started aggressively clearing plates that still had food on them. My dad just sat there looking like he wanted to disappear into the floor. Jake finally broke the silence. "Well, this explains why I was never good at math. Apparently, numbers just run differently in our family." I almost lost it. My brother was making jokes while our parents were having a complete meltdown over basic arithmetic. My mom came back from the kitchen and sat down. "Well," she said, not making eye contact with anyone, "maybe we were confused about the dates." "Confused about conception?" I asked. "Mom, that's not like forgetting where you put your keys." My dad finally spoke up. All right. So, maybe Jake wasn't technically premature. People make mistakes with dates. 25 years of mistakes," I said. The rest of dinner was pretty quiet. My parents didn't bring up my job or my life choice story till my wife had just gone to the store. When my 7-year-old whispered, "We have to get out right now," I laughed. "Why?" She pointed upstairs and trembled. "We don't have time. We have to leave this house now." I grabbed the car keys and headed to the police station. And that's when it happened. Chapter 1: The Whisper. The front door had barely clicked shut when my 7-year-old tugged at my sleeve. Her eyes were wide, her lips trembling. "Daddy," she whispered, her voice shaking. "We have to get out right now." I chuckled, ruffling her hair. "Ow, why? Did you hear the ice cream truck?" But she didn't smile. She didn't move. Instead, she pointed upstairs, her little finger stiff, trembling like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "We don't have time," she said. "We have to leave this house now." The air in the room shifted. My laugh died in my throat. You learn things as a father. When a child is pretending, there are tells, forced tears, wavering tones, cartoonish fear. But this wasn't that. This was raw, real, something she'd felt. I stared up the staircase, silent. The hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen suddenly sounded like thunder. I knelt down, holding her shoulders. "What did you see?" She shook her head. "No time." That was all she would say. I grabbed the car keys off the counter, my hand shaking. My rational mind whispered, "She's just scared. Kids imagine monsters." But my gut told me different. And in that moment, I trusted my gut. I scooped her into my arms, heart pounding, and stepped out into the crisp afternoon air. The door swung shut behind us, silent as a secret. I buckled her into the back seat. She clutched her backpack to her chest like a shield. "Where are we going?" she asked. "The police station," I said, turning the key in the ignition. "They'll keep us safe." We pulled out of the driveway, and for a second, everything felt normal. Just another drive down the same quiet street we'd taken 100 times. Then my phone buzzed on the passenger seat. A text from an unknown number. Too late, my stomach dropped. I gripped the wheel tighter. And that's when it happened. Behind us, from the direction of the house, came a deafening boom. A shockwave rolled down the street, rattling the car windows. My daughter screamed as I slammed the brakes. Through the rearview mirror, I saw it. Our house engulfed in flames, black smoke curling into the sky. She had been right. Chapter 2. The ashes don't lie. The blast echoed in my chest long after the fire swallowed the house. My daughter's small hands clutched the seatbelt, knuckles white. Sirens wailed in the distance. Neighbors had already called. Within minutes, fire trucks screamed down the block, followed by squad cars. I pulled over, heart hammering, eyes fixed on the column of black smoke rising where my home used to be. The questions. An officer rushed to my window. "Sir? Were you inside?" "No," I stammered. We just left. My daughter, she said we had to." The cop frowned, eyes narrowing. "She said you had to leave." I nodded. My daughter pressed her face into my shoulder, refusing to look back at the flames. By nightfall, the fire was out, the skeleton of the house still smoldering. The lead investigator pulled me aside, his tone grim. "Mr. Carter, this wasn't an accident. Gas lines intact, no faulty wiring. But upstairs in what looks like a storage closet." He hesitated, glancing at my daughter before lowering his voice. "We found signs someone had been staying there. Bedding, food wrappers, even a burner phone." The ground tilted beneath me. Someone was living in my house. The officer nodded. "And whoever it was, they set accelerant charges before leaving. This fire was meant to erase everything." Later at the station, my daughter finally spoke. She sat cross-legged in the interview room, clutching a crayon the officer had given her. "I saw him," she whispered. "Who?" I asked gently. She drew a figure on the paper. Tall, dark, no face, just hollow eyes. "He was in Mommy's room. He looked at me. He put his finger here." She pressed it to her lips like this. "Then he went upstairs." My blood ran cold. The detective returned with the burner phone they pulled from the wreckage. It was fried from the fire, but one text thread was still legible on the SIM. A single contact, saved under the name you last message sent just an hour before the explosion. "She's gone to the store. Do it now." I stared at the screen, my pulse hammering. My wife had left for the store minutes before our daughter begged me to leave. And now I had a question burning hotter than the ruins of my house. Was my wife a victim in this? Or was she part of it? Chapter 3. The cracks in her story. By the time my wife returned from the store, the house was already a blackened husk. Neighbors stared, fire crews packed up, and police tape fluttered like yellow scars in the wind. She ran toward us, dropping the grocery bags on the sidewalk, milk spilling across the pavement. Her eyes darted from me to our daughter, then back to the ruins. "Oh my God, what happened?" she cried, her voice breaking. But there was no shock in her eyes, no disbelief, only fear, sharp and knowing. That night, they let us stay in a temporary safe house arranged by the police. My daughter slept in the next room, but I couldn't close my eyes. Neither could my wife. Finally, I asked, "Where exactly did you go today?" She stiffened. "I told you. The store." "What store?" Her hesitation was too long. "Target." Funny. The receipt in her crumpled grocery bag was from a corner market, not Target. I leaned forward, keeping my voice calm. "Someone set the fire. The cops found a burner phone upstairs. It had messages, orders. Someone knew you were gone when it started." Her face went pale. "What? You can't think why not?" I cut her off. "You left minutes before. You didn't even warn us. Our daughter saw him, whoever he was, standing in your room." Her hands shook as she reached for a glass of water. She missed a cup entirely, knocking it over. "Kevin, please don't say things like that. You don't know what you're talking about." But the tremor in her voice told me I did. Near midnight, when she thought I was asleep, I watched her slip into the bathroom with her phone. I crept closer, pressing my ear to the door. Her voice was low, urgent. "No, He suspects, I can't, not now. He has the girl with him. Just lay low. I'll figure something out. I froze. The girl. Our daughter. The door creaked and she stepped out. She flinched when she saw me standing there in the dark hallway. Who were you talking to? I asked. Her mouth opened, closed, then she whispered one word, the name from the burner phone. The name my daughter had unknowingly drawn in shadows. And now the name on my wife's lips. For 13 years, I thought I knew the woman I married. That night, staring at her pale face in the hallway of a stranger's safe house, I realized I didn't know her at all. And whatever game she was playing, it was about to pull us all under. Chapter 4. The mask comes off. The next morning, I didn't confront her. Not directly. Instead, I played along, calm, watchful, waiting. She moved around the safe house like a trapped animal, avoiding my eyes. Glued to her phone whenever she thought I wasn't looking. I needed answers, not denials. Around noon, Detective Ramirez came by. He dropped a folder on the kitchen table and slid it toward me. We ran the SIM card from that burner. Only one number in and out. Belongs to a prepaid line registered under a fake ID. But the payments? He tapped the folder. They were made with a card linked to your wife's personal account. The world seemed to tilt. My wife froze mid-step, the grocery bag in her hand slipping to the floor. Apples rolled across the tile. That's impossible, she said quickly. Too quickly. It must be a mistake. Ramirez didn't blink. We'll keep digging. But you should know. Whoever this he is, your wife's been funding him for months. Pieces fell together in my head, jagged and sharp, the late-night errands, the unexplained charges I brushed off as shopping sprees, the new perfume that wasn't for me. And now my daughter's terrified whisper, her finger pointing upstairs. Her insistence that we leave the house immediately. I realized the truth. My adult brain had refused to see. My 7-year-old had seen through the lies before I had. When the detective left, I finally asked her outright. Who is he? Her lip trembled. For a moment, I thought I saw the wife I once knew. The woman who laughed at my bad jokes. Who held her daughter when she was sick. Then it was gone, replaced by a cold mask. You don't understand, Kevin, she said, her voice almost pleading. He needed help. I was just supporting him until he got back on his feet. It's not what you think. But I already knew it was exactly what I thought. Later that night, while she showered, I searched her purse. Inside, hidden beneath makeup compacts and grocery receipts, was another phone, sleek, new, glowing with unread messages. The top thread was with E. The most recent message made my stomach turn to ice. You should have let the fire finish the job. Then we'd be free. And her reply sent just before she stepped out of the bathroom earlier. I'll fix it. Trust me. I stood there in the dim light, phone in hand, listening to the water running behind the closed door. The betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was survival. My wife had conspired to erase us. And now I was the one holding the evidence that could erase her. Chapter 5. The Trap. I didn't explode. I didn't confront her with the second phone or scream about betrayal. That's what she expected. That's what she prepared for instead. I slipped the device into my pocket and forced myself to smile when she walked out of the bathroom. Towel around her shoulders. Want me to order some dinner? I asked casually, as if my whole world hadn't just shattered again. Her shoulders relaxed. She thought I was still blind, perfect at dawn while she was still asleep. I left the safe house with the phone. Detective Ramirez owed me a favor. By noon, the entire contents were downloaded. Bank transfers, dozens of messages, photos, every thread tied my wife to E and not just an affair. Plans, discussions, the fire, hints at insurance money. Even chilling notes about custody, like they were building a new life together after cutting me out. I felt sick. But the sickness hardened into resolve. They wanted me gone, forgotten, ashes. Instead, I would be the one writing their ending. That evening, I played my part. Quiet husband, distracted, pretending to nurse wounds, but I dropped just enough hints to bait her. The police think the SIM card was paid by a stolen account. Can you believe that? Her eyes widened. She nearly choked on her food. Hook line. By midnight, she was on the burner, typing furiously. I already knew what she would say. He suspects nothing. Just a few more days, I screen captured everything. 2 days later, I arranged a meeting. Told her the police wanted us both for a follow-up. She panicked, tried to wriggle out of it. But I insisted. At the station, Ramirez laid it all out calmly, like a surgeon opening a wound. The payments, the texts, the second phone. The plot to burn the house down while our daughter and I were inside. Her face drained of color. Kevin, she whispered, finally looking at me. Please, you don't understand, I didn't mean for it to go that far. But I'd heard enough lies for a lifetime. When Ramirez mentioned bringing Ian for questioning, she broke. He'll never talk, she blurted. He'll disappear before you find him. And just like that, she admitted he was real. Alive. Her co-conspirator. Ramirez's eyes flicked to me. We had her. But revenge wasn't finished because exposing her wasn't enough. I wanted E, too. And I already knew how to draw him out. Chapter 6, the final play. The officers wanted to press charges immediately, but I stopped them. Not yet, I told Ramirez. If you lock her up now, he will vanish. He's already a shadow. We need to pull him into the light. Ramirez studied me for a long moment, then finally nodded. What do you have in mind? That night, they released her on purpose. They let her believe she'd slipped through, that I cracked under pressure and refused to testify. I acted the part of the weary, forgiving husband. Even hugged her at the curb. She clung to me, but her eyes betrayed her. They weren't grateful. They were calculating, already plotting her next move, exactly what I needed. Within an hour, she messaged he bought it. We're in the clear. Meet me tomorrow. We can talk about the insurance money. She thought she was texting in secrecy. But the phone was tapped. Every word went straight to the task force. The next night, I drove her to the rendezvous point, an abandoned warehouse on the edge of town. My daughter was safely with my sister, far from the danger. She was jittery in the passenger seat, biting her nails. You sure about this, Kevin? She asked. I kept my tone flat. You wanted to meet him, didn't you? The warehouse loomed in the dark, broken windows like empty eyes. I parked. She slipped inside first. I followed, heart steady, every step rehearsed. And then I saw him. Tall, shaved head, familiar in the worst possible way. My best friend, the man I trusted with my secrets, the one who'd stood beside me at my wedding 13 years ago. He wasn't some stranger. He was Eric. The betrayal doubled in weight, crushing my chest. He smirked when he saw me. Guess the little family reunion didn't go as planned, huh? Before I could reply, flashlights exploded around us. Armed officers surged from every corner. Guns raised, voices commanding. Hands up now. Eric froze. My wife screamed. I just stood there calm, watching the web tighten because this wasn't the police's sting. It was mine. Every step, the tapped phone, the fake forgiveness, the chance meeting had been orchestrated by me. They dragged Eric out in cuffs, his bravado crumbling. My wife begged, cried, swore she hadn't meant for it to go so far. I didn't answer her, didn't even look at her. When the officers read her charges, conspiracy to commit arson, attempted murder, fraud, she finally understood. The fire she tried to bury me in had become her own execution plea. As she was shoved into the back of the squad car, our eyes met one last time. She whispered, Kevin, please. I shut the door myself. Too late. Epilogue, the lesson and the flames. The trial didn't take long. The evidence was overwhelming. The texts, the payments, the burner phones. It was all there in black and white. Eric tried to play tough. But when the jury heard my daughter's recorded statement describing how he put a finger to his lips and crept upstairs, the room went ice cold. He dropped the mask. The guilty verdict was swift. My wife didn't fare much better. She pled for leniency, claiming she'd been manipulated. But the paper trail of her funding, her texts promising to fix it, and her presence at every step sealed her fate. They were both sentenced. Years behind bars, years to think about what they'd almost destroyed. For months, I had nightmares of that whisper. Daddy, we have to get out right now. But over time, it became less a nightmare and more a reminder. My daughter had saved us. Her instinct, her innocence had cut through the lies I'd ignored for too long. We rebuilt slowly. New apartment, new routines. She drew pictures again, but this time they were of parks and sunshine, not shadowy men with hollow eyes. I made her a promise. Never again would I dismiss her voice.